We're going to Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia and Turkey have agreed to set up a strategic cooperation council to strengthen military, economic and investment cooperation. It comes after Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan met with Saudi King Salman in Riyadh, where the leaders reaffirmed they stand side by side on strategic goals in Syria. I-24 News defense correspondent Shaiban Ari has the details.
Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan was in Saudi Arabia Wednesday as part of a two-day visit accompanied by high-ranking officials. The two countries solidified relations with the announcement of plans to form a new strategic cooperation council.
The aim of this council is to bring about a qualitative transformation between Turkey and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia so that ties will truly be strategic. It serves the interests of the two countries and peoples to help create security, stability and prosperity, God willing, in the region.
There is currently a convergence of interests between Saudi Arabia and Turkey, but this has not always been the case. While Erdogan was received warmly by King Salman, his relationship with the previous monarch, King Abdullah, was colder. Abdullah disapproved of Erdogan's support for the Muslim Brotherhood. The rise of Iranian influence in the Syrian civil war have changed the regional conditions, and Riyadh and Ankara now find themselves on the same side. A recent meeting in Riyadh of Syrian opposition groups excluded representation for Kurdish rebels, who are enemies of the Turkish state, despite them having arguably more battlefield success against Islamic State than any other fighting force. The Turks and the Saudis have also recently found themselves at odds with the new major power involved in the Syrian conflict, Russia. The Kremlin has given Ankara the cold shoulder ever since a Russian jet was shot down near the Turkish border in late November. The Saudis are unhappy with Moscow following the killing of their ally, Zahran Aloush, former leader of the rebel group Jaish al-Islam.
I don't know what is in the minds of the Russians, and I don't know the reason that made them do something like this. But what I do know is that if we want to reach a peaceful solution in Syria, we must deal with all of the Syrian groups whose hands are not smeared with terrorism.
In the shifting sands of the Middle East, such alliances don't necessarily last forever. But for now, these friends will cooperate. That is, until the complex geopolitical map is redrawn.
And with me right now here in the studio is Ali Waqid, Senior Middle East Analyst for I-24 News. Good evening.
Good evening, Lucy.
So, Ali, okay, you know, it's right now it seems like Saudi Arabia is declaring on the table, we don't like your intervention, Russia's intervention, meaning, and you know what, maybe we will do our own deals to try and start solving the Syrian problem the way that we are seeing it.
They would like to try to solve the way they see it, but they know that it is impossible. They organized a summit, a conference in Riyadh, and we saw that the impact of this summit on the ground was very much modest until now. Lucy, this is a summit between the two most important right now Sunnite Muslim countries in the world, on one hand. On the other hand, this is a summit between two countries and two leaders who are in crisis. The Saudis are in crisis both in Yemen and in Syria, and the Turks, of course, are also facing difficulties in Iraq, in the borders with Iraq, in Syria, when they see their allies being assassinated, when they see the Syrian army progress on the ground with the support of the Russian Air Force, and also inside Turkey with the Kurdish forces that are fighting the PKK and the Kurdish groups that are fighting inside Syria, but on the borders between Syria and Turkey, and they are trying to coordinate to the maximum their position, because they know that right now the momentum is not on their side, and they need to coordinate. They need to show that the rebels on the ground that are supported by Turkey and by Saudi Arabia still has this regional support. If not, if the international support is becoming less and less important, that there are still supporting forces on the ground and coordinating their position in a moment where they are facing, both on the diplomatic level and on the military level, significant difficulties.
You know, I'm trying to think to myself, who would Saudi Arabia add to this, let's say, new ally group? Who would they would like that will be in this new understanding?
The Saudis officially organized 35 states, countries coalition, the Islamic coalition to fight terror. And we know that effectively on the ground they cannot count on none of these countries. This is why they are trying to maximize their collaboration with Turkey in order to send message to the Western camp led by the US and also to the Russian that you should take into consideration Saudi Arabia and Turkey as a whole, as a bloc, and not each country aside. We must understand, Lucy, the Saudis 2 days ago confirmed their 2016 budget. This will be the first official budget of Saudi Arabia ever to have a significant deficit, and this is why the Saudis need to go to the political solution that they didn't like to see half a year or even a year ago. And Turkey can be a good decision because also Erdogan is facing the same problems inside Turkey and in the region.
So